Pretty good, thank you. You're not alone, so you won't be able to.
Door open.
And then I saw Janet pull this, I'm like, okay, so if you are on the parking lot, she's like, I did. Oh, I know.
But it was nice, yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was a weekend of family, we took all the kids, Saturday to the Shrine Circus. That was fun. Well, the old IMA. Yeah. Well, you know, Bill's connected to the VA, and so he gets emails from that. They sent an email flyer. So he says, well, if everybody wants to go, we'll get the tickets. No, it is. So it was a weekend of family, which was nice.
Front door open.
Somebody says, because it's 7:30, I put up our house.
It's not lately.
Usually, before they turn into salt driveway, and somewhere between there, I can hear the dog. So it's about the same time as before.
Yeah, but usually that's when I walk, and I
Well,
was
it's
usually
funny,
seeing
when
that. police report, I guess we got a copy.
Yep, copy in the packet.
Fire report,
So we had 27 runs in December, 5 fires, 21 medicals, 6 of those were in Village, 1 PI. Fires, we had a structure fire down on Dryden and Ribble, put a really good stop on that. Really not much loss. Structure was good, just a little stuff inside. And we had 2 different wires down, a standby down in Oxford, and a seal alarm. So last year, it didn't look at the exact number today when I was up there, but last year we ended up at just about 382 runs, which was down from 2023.
Thank you.
for that, keep up the good work, you guys. I know it's terrible in weather like this. County Commissioner,
Good evening,
yes, sir.
Greg Wise. It's my honor to serve as the County Commissioner District 6, including the people of the Village of Metamora. We had our first organizational meeting on January 2nd. We elected Gary Howell as our new chair. I think most of you know Gary. Of course, he represented the entire county, including the village, for 7 years as our state representative. And maybe more importantly, back in the late 80s, 1990, he, along with longtime Metamora Township President Emery Clark, defeated Ajax Paving and the Boy Scouts in their suit in federal court to have gravel mining here. They defeated it, got dismissed with prejudice, and that's why it took so long before they came back. But obviously, we can never give up that fight. We also elected Brad Hagedon as our vice chair. I was honored to be appointed as chair of our subcommittee on rules and procedure, and also as a member of our personnel committee. A lot of people don't realize that as county commissioners, we also serve on a number of other boards. I was honored to be selected to serve on the Community Mental Health Board, the Human Development Commission, which meets up in Tuscola, and the Friends of the Historic Courthouse. We also set our meeting schedule for this year. Our Committee of the Whole will continue to meet on the second Thursday of the month, the full board on the fourth Thursday of the month, except for Thanksgiving and Christmas both falling on the fourth Thursday. We'll meet on the third Thursday of those 2 months. We then had our first Committee of the Whole meeting on January 9th. I won't bore you with everything that went on. It was pretty standard. We approved a number of things, including renewal of the county's workers' comp policy and liability policy. Probably most importantly, I'd like to say something on a personal nature. A week ago today, my wife Darlene and I were blessed with the birth of our first grandchild. Beautiful baby girl named Liberty Grace. As grandparents, we're looking forward to spoiling her rotten and then sending her home.
That's not far down the road though.
So I thank you very much for giving me time as county commissioner to speak. I know there's some townships, cities that don't allow that. But I will try to make every meeting I can and not to talk too long. Though I always said, as an attorney, we're paid by the word, but I'll try to be succinct. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the updates.
Planning Commission, I guess.
Well, there's nothing on the agenda again, so we decided to cancel it. There's no sense in burning up.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to.
Thank you. DDA had canceled their meeting for January, so. Attorney report, sending down below. Council Communications,
I don't have anything to report to you.
no.
It's cold. Thanks for that update.
It'll be Public time number 1.
So in your packet, there are 3 complaints. One is the general ORV and parking complaint here. One of them is about, well actually let's go here first. Tina, did Nick Holden, the Department of Public Works employee, report anything to you that he saw on Saturday? I saw him driving at about 4:20.
I have not spoken to him.
Okay.
Office was closed today.
Because if I were that employee or I were that employee's supervisor, I would want to know what he saw that day, and what he would have seen that day were vehicles parked in Harmer Park already, and there were also snowmobile tracks going next to the sidewalk, just north of the Lions Hall, and going in and out, and then they went down that little access road to the utility building, the village utility building, next to the post office. So there were snowmobiles out again in the village. Did anyone hear them, see them, report them? I don't live over there, so I didn't hear it. But I know one of you does live right over there, so perhaps you saw or reported. So that hasn't stopped, right? And snowmobiles going on our sidewalks endangers people. That is really, really dangerous. When I was walking and I would see snowmobiles, that's horrible. And we don't want them on our trails. We don't want them around. And going by, going near the utility building, I would guess they either went around the sewage lagoon or they went up the rail trail or both. Because that was a pretty common thing, which again endangers people out walking their dogs, endangers everybody. I think we should all keep an eye out for that. And consider maybe some barriers so they can't do that. Also, Holden had in the UTV with him, it had a plow on the front, which makes it even less stable. So that's already a vehicle that's not stable on the road. It's not supposed to be used on the road or on pavement, as I brought that to you before. But he had a passenger in there who did not look like an employee of the village. And it depends on the workplace, it depends on your insurance. I have been in a lot of situations where I was barred from having anyone except an employee in the vehicle with me. So, you know, I just wanted to bring that to your attention, should that have happened or not. Has it been cleared with your insured? So one of the complaints in there is about the planning commission meeting canceled again. No notification on the Facebook page. It was only on the door here. It wasn't on the calendar on the website. I checked it right before. I screenshotted it right before the meeting. Hadn't been changed to canceled. So it was just like in November that also happened. And I think that, does the Open Meetings Act, you know, do you have to by law say that it's canceled? No, but gosh, would it be really nice to take 2 minutes and just notify the public? That would be great. So Harmer Park has become an area where every Saturday night people are parking in there and or driving through. Road vehicles, specifically right now. And I've documented in there, I think I marked them in green. I started coding them in green. And that's a problem. And I heard somebody say after the meeting last week, why is it a problem that people park in there? And it's not just because on the deed they aren't supposed to. It's a safety issue. You need people parking in delineated parking spots for safety, okay? Just look up, I was reading a bunch of parking lot safety websites today. It's very clear. You don't want them driving into grass. And one of the nights in there, it was very spongy. It was when we had a thaw. It was very spongy and someone was driving right through there. That's not proper. It's not right on any level. And had Nick Holden brought it to someone's attention or taken action on Saturday when people started parking in there, he could have put up some barricades. He could have driven over. I know you guys have the barricades. Put them up to stop. I gave you in your complaint last month so many ways that you guys could stop this, but you are failing to act. And it is your duty to act and keep the parking out of there because of the deeds and the people who donated that land. Thank you.
Unfinished business, water main extension.
Still waiting to receive something, ask for something.
Terrible. That's what this price run something.
Are they trying to run out the EPA?
They don't seem to be in a real hurry. Now, in fairness, I think they're herding cats over there because they have, I don't know, 8 to 12 corporate entities that they answer to, so, you know, I think they have a hard time getting agreement on anything, so I suspect that could be one of the things.
Because what happens when they get to this stage of the EPA's game? They just pull out, or they're gonna?
The EPA reminds us every single time we get on a call that they have no power to push anybody to do anything. So, they prod and poke, and then tell you they have no power to press them to do anything. So, I'm not sure, they pay
attention to their pressure, but I'm not sure they're afraid of it.
They're trying to just step aside and let it go away then.
I get the impression that what usually happens is there's pressure from the local residents to their representatives, their elected representatives, and then they contact EPA, and then they contact us. So.
Round robin,
It is round robin.
dog chases tail, tail chases dog.
I can make a couple phone calls, I think.
Thank you.
About half of it, on here, not sure, even though they're paying what bills do come in. You guys get a little fed up with it too in your office.
It's like Greg said.
Paper trail gets
Words is
bigger.
money.
I do feel for the residents, it would be nice if they get it
Yeah.
done, they're the ones that contaminate the water, and they should be taking care of the water source, so.
Okay. Just move on, new business, planning commission term.
Well, as Lloyd pointed out last month, I did have the incorrect sheet in everybody's packet, so I apologize, and the correct terms that are up for January of 2025 are Lloyd Walker and Rich Beers. So, last month, I was incorrect, this month, they are correct. So if we can have a motion to reappoint.
Yep, I entertain a motion to reappoint them both.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Lloyd Walker and Rich Beard.
Second to reappoint Lloyd Walker and Rich Beard to the planning commission. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Congratulations. You're on it again.
So, on this, Chris Lambert.
Yes.
I mentioned it a couple of times that we need the letter of resignation or an
Okay.
email. Do we need to look for another person?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll remember to reach back out to him to email myself, and just tell him even an email resignation would be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Amend the budget for 24-25.
Well, it's coming to the end of our fiscal year, so I was looking over the budget, and there's a couple things that need to be updated. Revenues in general fund, taxes were a little bit more than what we anticipated. Local community stabilization fund was a little bit more, and interest is more. And then expenses for general fund, transfers out to the DDA, the amount that's calculated that we give the DDA. Their settlement per year was more than what we had estimated at the beginning of the fiscal year, and then hall renovations due to the new furnace. And then in sewer fund, interest also is gonna be more at the next couple months, so. Would get a motion to pass the resolution, that'd be wonderful.
Can we just ask what all falls under local community stabilization?
It is checks we get from a group called Local Community Stabilization. I don't know 100%.
Oh,
It used to be Metro Act is what it was called, now it all falls under,
It was the state taking monies received for people that, companies that intrude on the right of way, and they put it into a pot, and then they turn around and hand it out to the communities.
okay, thank you.
Okay, I entertain a motion then for the amendment of the 24.
I'll make a motion, we amend the 24-25 budget.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to go ahead and amend the 24-25 budget. All in favor, vote.
roll call. Clark,
Yay.
Morris,
Yay.
Walker,
Yay.
Griswold.
Yes.
Suzy Clark,
Yes.
Suzanne, Kinkade. Thank you.
F&B rate increase.
Well, F&B is submitting their capital their consumer price index rate increase that they usually submit us every year. They did not submit one last year because I kind of argued with them when they tried to submit one, because we still haven't received an updated contract from them. John and I met with them back in July of '23, and they were supposed to be doing us an updated contract, and I still have yet to receive it, so they're requesting their yearly increase, and personally, I would, from my office standpoint, I would say don't approve it until they get us that contract, but that's up to the council.
So, are there other companies out there that do this work?
There are some, I mean, we can try to, if you're wanting to go out for request for proposal, we'd have to draw up what we want them
more specific contract wording,
Correct.
because you gotta bid apples to apples when you're doing this.
Correct.
And I know I've asked before for like, to see the contract, to see what's in there, what their responsibilities are, I mean, it gets,
I mean, we have an old contract, so when F&B took over for United Water, took over for Earth Tech, the contract just kind of rolled over. You know, they just kind of threw their own name into it, this and that. There has not been an update since F&B took it over. So it really does need to be looked at. We sat down, we went through basically every line of the contract, was on here discussing things. We no longer have water meters that they have to go out and read for us. They've got the new water meters, so they're all electronically. So I know that portion would go out of our contract, but they do all of our testing, all of our sampling, all the reporting to the state for water and sewer both. I mean, so they do a lot internally that people don't see, but.
well, that's why I was curious.
Right.
What all, I mean, we've been coming down on them lately with all the water problems,
Right.
but what is in your scope of?
They do our yearly discharge for our sewer lines, they do all the reporting for that.
We definitely need to make sure we've got somebody to cover.
Right, they have to
Trying
have-
do all that, and we really.
Like our own DPW, you can't do that kind of stuff, because you have to have proper licensing, you have to have proper lagoon licensing, you have to have proper, municipal DEP or whatever that's not, the legal licensing on the water, on the water stuff, so. But I would suggest not approving an increase in.
I would entertain motion then to table or increase until we get.
Have they given us that?
No, they haven't. And I reminded them when we got a bill from them last month, they had an increase on it, that we had never even received this yet, and that we hadn't received any kind of communication as far as the contract, and I know they had an issue with the head guy Blair that we had met with, falling off our roof, but that was this winter, this has nothing to do with all of last year.
They're a big enough company, I don't care if somebody.
Exactly.
Feel bad
Yeah.
about the roof, but there shouldn't be someone that can step in.
Exactly, it should take a year to look over a contract and make updates to it, so.
I make a motion, I guess, that we table this until we have that. A second.
Second table.
Until the approved updated contract?
Correct.
Okay. Sorry. Shall you second it?
Move definitely to table the rate increase until we get an updated. Excuse me, contract. That would be. In favor? Aye. Opposed? And we need action on that.
Right.
Water. Water. They're not acting. Should be.
Sorry.
We should be getting some of the paperwork that we want. Okay, that's all done. I guess we get one more public time.
So another complaint that's in your packet is about, I had two complaints last month about relating to this. Is that I had a FOIA request in for all the documents related to the Equine Expo events that happened over in Harmer Park and in the Old Town Hall, but people were walking in between and there was stuff set up out there. And I had asked, Tina had said there was an insurance certificate, but that file somehow went blank and she couldn't provide it. So then when she finally did, which was days later, and she didn't file an extension, well actually I think it was weeks later, but it was dated 12/12/2024. So that was an insurance certificate that appears to have been bought after these events. And so I re-FOIA'd and I said, hey, I would like that insurance certificate that went blank basically. Can't provide it. Can't provide it or won't provide it. And having worked in events for many years, I find that bizarre. Because as I wrote in the complaint, I could pull up the insurance certificate that I provided from multiple locations on my computer and in my email from 10 years ago. Because you have to keep those on file. I don't buy that these folks couldn't just send you another file in 10 minutes or less. I don't know why you don't see the need to have that on file. It is actually very important. And typically with events, you have to have the insurance in place before they'll even approve you for a permit. And then sometimes they'll stipulate X number of years you have to maintain that coverage. I've signed multiple contracts like that. So I just find it very suspect. I doubt that perhaps this insurance certificate exists because I haven't seen it. And I find it suspect that we have a village council here that allows Tina to approve events, or there is no approval process, and there's no oversight, and we don't have the information that would normally be required, that all of the other municipalities, just about all of them out there, require for liability's sake and for the public safety's sake. And I've repeatedly asked you all to fix that, repeatedly. But this is further evidence that things are not going right here. First of all, I don't know how a file goes blank. I would have had that on paper somewhere because that's an important thing to have. But that's just extremely suspect to me, and I hope that never happens again. And I hope you all develop a process, first of all, improve that special event application, require that events come before you, and everybody scrutinize it and make sure you have everything needed to ensure public safety here, because that is your duty. That is your duty sitting up here. So, we have parking issues here in the village. You may not see it that way because it's become normal, right? Just like people parking in Harmer Park, even though the deeds say you can't do that and it's not safe, that's not good. That's not normal. We have a very busy restaurant over here. It gets a lot of business. That's great. Someone needs to manage the parking because they don't have enough. There's not enough in municipal, and people going to these businesses. And then there's Dove Manor. If Dove Manor has an event, and the village and the planning commission here apparently saw fit to allow them to use the municipal parking rather than have enough spots, which would be required in other places, I'm saying there's an issue. Somebody needs to deal with it. Someone needs to look at getting more parking or getting signs that tell people they can park on the streets here. But someone also needs to be watching out. So a lot of the complaints that are in your packet this time are the people at the house at on Center Street and High Street, parking on the sidewalk there. Repeatedly, just completely just blocking that sidewalk. Again, that's against the law. You can't drive, park on sidewalks. But that just happens repeatedly for hours all the time. I've got like a couple dozen documentations in there. So we're not dealing with that. I've got the numbers. I added up the numbers from this year and the ORV complaints and parking complaints that I brought you. And I can compare them to 2023. Now, I did change a little bit of how I log them and how I document them, but that does not account for this huge rise. So illegal parking primarily on the sidewalk at Metamora General went up to 85. Last year I had about 17 I documented. Parking in Harmer Park, and this is non-concert days, 23. And again, this is just what I catch when I drive by, and I'm a busy, busy person. And what I managed to write down, so this is about 80% of what I see. This is what I catch alone. So this is a problem, is what I'm saying, based on these numbers. Golf cart curfew, people out after the golf cart curfew, 81 this year. I documented 26 in 2023. A lot of times they have little kids in those golf carts out in the dark, by the way. Vehicles on the trail, either traveling down it or I also logged parking on it sometimes this year, 40. Last year was 8. Underage drivers, thank goodness that one went down. Okay, from 8 to 4. But these numbers are pretty scary.
Time's up.
Thank you.
I heard you.
Sorry.
I would entertain one more motion.
Erica, did you have anything?
I'm here to listen.
Okay, fine.
Sorry about that. I'll entertain one more motion. No more public time.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Move the second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? I just want to thank everybody for coming out in the real cold. I know that I'm well, that's right, it's a little warm.
I cannot come under you. I can actually.
York got up the hill, still a long ride.
I'm not
Congratulations to
considering
you, Darlene.
the
That is so
schools
exciting
at
for you guys.
they don't know.
That's a lot of fun. You're always just on.
So happy.
They did add my time.
I didn't know they were expecting. That was a nice surprise. Very cool.
I don't go to
the next school building.